welcome. Today is the 15th day of January and we're still talking governance. And this is your program Governance Today, where we talk about issues regarding to the Nigerian people and how we've been governed so far. What is governance basically? And also we told you that the program will involve having party candidates or their representative come talk to you on what's happening ahead of the 2019 general elections and what governance is for them, what their agenda is ahead of the election and what Nigerians should expect come 2019, which is just a few days. Obviously, Nigerians are really counting down and the clock is ticking ahead of the 2019 general elections. My name is Anita Patrick and I'll be your anchor today of the program Governance Today, where we have to deliberate, and I have a guest who will be speaking to us on some issues, and he's representing the African Democratic Congress Party. He's the Deputy National Chairman, Strategy, Innovation and Change, and he'll be giving us a breakdown of what ADC is doing ahead of the 2019 general elections, and also they're part of the coalition of United Political Party, where they've come as a party, they've come as a coalition to see how they can run things differently ahead of the 2019 election, to see that governance is set in the right direction for Nigerians. And just like I mentioned earlier, my guest, I'll be introducing him to you right now, and I have with me here Dr. Chike Okogwu. Hello, good evening.
Thank you very much, Anita. You make me feel like a star.
You should feel like a star because you're not just new to this whole thing. You've been in the media. You're also now into politics. You've done a lot with yourself, and it's an amazing privilege to have you here.
You call it privilege. Well, first,
for me,
happy New Year tonight to viewers at home. Good evening. It's good to be back here. It's good to be home, and I thank you, Anita, and thank you, Clearview TV, for having me this evening.
Okay, it's good to have you. Like I mentioned earlier, the program is Governance Today, and we're looking at issues of governance, where Nigerians need to understand if governance has been given to them so far. Let's look at the word governance itself. What is this governance itself? Let me start with what I have as a breakdown for Nigerians to understand. Governance is said to be an action or a manner of governing a state or an organization. And I want to throw it to you right now, Chike. Governance so far for you in the last 3 years of the present administration, what would you say it has been for Nigerians so far?
Well, my take, thank you very much. I would say, can we replace the word governance with leadership?
Okay,
and then
fine.
we'll have a definition of leadership. Leadership itself, like governance and action, leadership is an activity, all right, that makes the people see the realities. Okay, so a good leader is somebody who can carry out that activity of making the people see the realities and then create an adaptive way of approaching those realities, such that at the end of the day, it's a win-win situation for everybody. There will be pains, no doubt about it, but at the end of the day, it's all about progress for all. So bringing it back home today, are we seeing the realities? Yes, we're seeing some harsh realities. Is it beneficial to all concerned? No. We don't, the vision of leadership is missing, and that is why people are calling out today for that change. So from my own perspective and the political party is that I represent here, we're not really satisfied with what we're seeing today.
Okay, if you are not satisfied looking at the word, since you chose the word leadership, let me stick with leadership. Leadership, you've defined it in your own term, what you feel it should play out. A lot of Nigerians have raised concerns about issues around a lot of the leadership. And looking at, even across Africa, leadership has been one major concern for Nigerians. What do you think your party can do differently if you don't see what is playing out as what it's supposed to be like?
Okay, leadership is intentional. It's purposeful. So you wake up and you say, today, this is what I'm going. A leader wakes up and says, today, this is what we're going to achieve. You don't wait for the problems to fall on you. You have to go out there, seek out the problems, and solve them. When these guys were campaigning, they talked about bringing about change. I am a scholar of change. At least I studied leadership and change up to, graduate, master's and doctorate degrees levels. Change comes with innovation, it comes with invention, and it comes with creativity. If you don't see these three elements, there's no change. Innovation, doing things better. That's what it simply means. What has been done better? The only thing that has been done better in my own observation, and every viewers at home will agree with me, is corruption. That's something that has gone worse. So if you say they've done it better, it means it has gone worse. Creativity. Is there anything fantastic that's fantastically new that has come on board since this advent? There's nothing. I once give it to them that the only invention or the only thing close to creativity is the economic recovery growth plan, which I supported, and the ease of doing business and all that. But implementation was a far cry. So when you have not done the critical work of creativity and and invention, there's nothing you can do when you want to do interventions. It's just a waste of time. So far as I say it, 3.5 years, almost 4 years gone down. I mean, are you better for it?
Well, I won't be put on the spotlight right now. I'm going to ask our viewers to
Viewers out there, the lines are going to be
the
open.
judge.
They'll be the judge.
They'll be the. You mentioned three things, which is innovation, creativity,
and invention.
And inventions.
Yeah.
And then for you feel the economic growth plan is one of the things you can actually see they've actually this present administration has put forward.
But it was not properly implemented, so nobody's feeling it.
But at some point, I'm not playing the devil's advocate right now, but I know the present administration went out to talk about the ease of doing business and went to marketplaces, look at market women, to ensure that this was carried out.
Okay. First things first, you need to shut the doors against the thief. And who is the thief? You're paying fuel subsidies. And fuel subsidies of $1.5 billion every month for 1 year. Who can afford that? So if you're paying subsidies of $1.5 billion to subsidize fuel, you're taking your crude out there and you're subsidizing it, you're paying $1.5 billion. The little money that remains is what you and I are struggling for, and that's why your dollar is 306 or 360, depending on where you're buying from. So the mistake they made in the first instance was devaluing the naira. You needed to shut your subsidy, not devalue the naira. Now, going a step further, if you go to the Niger Delta, those boys who are making diesel and petrol from what you call coal fire, convert them to modular refineries. Now, this is a simple mathematics. If you do 500 modular refineries, and it's very simple. Modular refineries are so simple, you can actually have them at the back of a truck. So a 911 lorry is the size of a modular refinery. It's no big deal. It's not rocket science. If you have 500 of that, those boys burning bush in the creeks and doing illegal refinery, convert them to legal refinery. 500 of them peg their capacity to 2,000 barrels per day. You have 1 million barrels per day refining capacity. That gives you 55 million liters of petrol. It gives you 17 million liters of kerosene. It gives you 25 million liters of diesel. It gives you everything you want. The other byproducts of petroleum. You create a new wealth of business. And with that, if you cut off subsidy and you're producing locally, meeting your local demands, you don't have to spend $1.5 billion. Naira will become stronger. And the naira will appreciate so much that it will cost like 100 naira or less to $1.
Okay.
And it has its trickle effect. So power, electricity that we're paying so much for, today nobody wants to come to Nigeria to generate electricity. You know why? We're still selling power at 22 kobo per kilowatt hour. What that means is that you're selling power at 4 or 5 cents. Nobody is going to come and invest here. But if your naira was at 100 naira to $1, if you generate at 22 naira per kilowatt hour, you're selling at 22 cents. Everybody will come to Nigeria to generate power, and you and I can afford it.
Okay, looking at the fact that power has been one major focus for every political party that comes out, because I've heard a lot of political parties during the campaign say this about power, say so much about it. But as part of the ADC, what do you think you can do different? Because I remember the candidates that was picked by the party, he mentioned
Power.
same thing as power. That power is where he wants to look into.
Viewers, power is not rocket science. I have done it, I have been in it, and I have seen it done. Every local government in Nigeria, 774 local, every local government has a particular critical advantage over the other. So you can have a mix, or either any of, you can have hydro, you can have solar, you can have wind, you can have gas, you can have coal. That's 5. You can also have waste. Okay. All the tons of refuse that you see everywhere are power generating plants. Now, rather than have a local government assisted mass transit, why don't you have a local government assisted power plant, 25 megawatts or 30 megawatts? If you do 30 megawatts per local government, using their own critical advantage, you're going to have 25,000 megawatts of power. And secondly, nobody does grid generation. You do embedded power. So every local government, whatever strength you have, look at Lagos, Etios, and all those bar beaches there wasting away. Bar beach and all the beaches, the Lekop beaches, they're supposed to generate power. You go to Enugu, you see local governments with coal. They're supposed to be generating power from there. You go up north, you travel between Mina and Yauri. You look left and right, you see empty land, windy nights. Is that supposed to be? I mean, sunlight everywhere. 30 megawatts of power, embedded power generation. The local governments become stronger. And let me tell you something. The amount of money that goes to local governments every month is enough to pay for a guarantee for them to generate power over 25 years. So we're doing dumb things. That is a failure of leadership. And that's the kind of leadership that we want the CUPP to bring on board.
Okay, we've been talking about leadership and governance as a whole, but he decided to fix it at leadership. And we've been talking about how far leadership can change and ensure that Nigerians benefit, looking at the different sectors, especially power, which is one of the agendas of the ADC as a political party. I'm still coming back to you now, Chike.
Right.
Leadership for Nigeria, what do you think the leaders can do differently? Looking at the fact that a lot of things have not emerged saying that this is wrong, this is the right way. A lot of people still bring it down to self-centeredness, selfish interests.
Yes.
Put in front of them before the people.
My summation of it will be 4 words. Do the right thing. Anything that you know is the right thing, do it. Now, if you don't do the right thing and you do the wrong things, that's a failure of leadership. Campaigns are going on now, and everybody is riding on top of rooftops, open roof vehicles, wanting the people to see them. The moment they get into power, the tinted glasses come up, and you cannot access them. They shut themselves out from the voice of the people. Now they need the people. They are coming to beg the people to talk to them, going into markets and sharing money. But as soon as they get into governance, are they going to also come out and meet with the people? No, they don't feel the pulse of the people. A leader should be a listener. You should be able to feel the pulse of the people. You see, we have to get Nigeria working again, and it's not rocket science. Nigeria is full of brilliant people. Look at your studio, for example, and every other studio in Nigeria run by young people. Give me a break. This is not a country of lazy Nigerian youth. This is a country of creative Nigeria, bursting with ideas, bubbling with ideas, wanting to bust out. But everybody keeps them down. So leadership should be able to harness these potentials. Nigeria is not a difficult country to govern. If things are going right, you actually don't care what the man at the top does. But you see, this should be a country where people fail in their duties, they should resign.
Okay.
It's not only about NYSC scandal or certificate scandals. No. If you see, the problem is this. When you are appointed a leader here in Nigeria, a minister or some, you're not given your terms of reference. Even if you're given, there is no benchmarking, all right? And, you know, with reprimands that, look, this is what you're set out to do. If you don't do it, you don't get paid or you get fired. Until we start doing that, the kind of culture we have here is a culture of everybody does what they feel is right. After all, at the end of the month, I get paid. The man is traveling. They travel business class or first class. Nobody cares. It's government money. Let's make the money and get away. And the people are suffering.
Okay, people are suffering. That's one word. That's one focus for Nigerians. Nigerians are really worried the fact that we have leaders, and then the people are still suffering. The masses are at the mercies of leaders who they feel they're not giving them the best of what they should expect. Looking at the issue of social basic amenities like water, access to power, just like we mentioned, and good roads, infrastructure, a lot of issues around those things. What is wrong with leadership? Leadership doesn't just sit at the presidential level. It doesn't at the government level. It still goes down to the states, the local government level as well. What is wrong in all of this? Before we take a break and allow our viewers contribute.
I have seen a local government chairman, I won't mention where, who is traveling from one local government to another local government, and he drives from that local government to the nearest airport in that local government, boards a flight, and lands in another local government, and drives. You see, when your leaders don't even travel by road, they don't understand what you're going through. The way the road, take water for example. I must give it to the Abuja FCT, right? Water supply in Abuja is very good. I must commend them for that. Now, can't it be replicated everywhere? Water does not just end at pipe-borne water for you to drink. Water for industrialization, power for industrialization, that is what drives an economy. Now, when water is polluted, for these few places that get water supply in Abuja, they are good. But what of those who don't have it? The cost that comes with having bad water is so every day you'll hear of somebody dying somewhere. Go to the general hospitals, people die every day from drinking bad water. Yeah. And it's everywhere in Nigeria. It's painful that in this 21st century, people die of cholera in Nigeria. That's a shock. That's a shock. It's an aberration, and it's a failure of leadership. Ebola came here in 2014, and it took leadership to stop Ebola to the point that somebody lost her life. Dr. Adadevo lost her life. And that brings me to the word leader. The word lead comes from the Indo-Greek word leith, L-E-I-T-H. And if you check the meaning, it means to go forth to die. How many Nigerian leaders want to go forth out there to die for you? Dr. Adadevo did it. And some other notable top Nigerians did it for Tafawa Balewa laid down his life into the coup plot. They all died for what they believed in. They were executed wrongly. Do you understand? And that is why they are heroes today. So until we have those kind of leaders who are willing to die for the cause of the betterment of the people, we will not get there. Not the leaders who, in Igbo language, they call them the leader. They eat you down, you know. They are eating you down, you know. They're eating the pie and the cake, you know, until you will all collapse. That's not what we want. We want leadership, visionary leadership.
Okay, we want visionary leadership. You've heard it from Dr. Chike, and who is still my guest here on the program Governance Today. We've been talking so much on leadership, what should be done differently. Looking back at, call it 4 years of the present administration, and the fact that Nigeria is looking forward to an election year, which is this year, 2019, and February is just around the corner.